And Jennifer, oh good, you've already recorded.
No bell.
Oh, sorry, bell ringing. Do we have Jen in the bell tower? We don't. Give me just a second
to share a video of Jen ringing our bells to call us into worship.
Welcome to our beloved sanctuary, as well as our digital sanctuary on Zoom. I'm Robin Colgrove, and my family and I have been coming to Theodore Parker Church for over a quarter of a century now. I've served in a variety of roles in the church, and I'm happy most recently to be restarting a tradition waylaid by the pandemic, bringing savory, nice foods to coffee hour. Last week, bean dip, and this week, some leek and potato soup. I hope you enjoy. Many thanks to Meredith St. John, who was our camera point person today, and to Jennifer Bottomley, our Zoom usher. For those of us who are here in person, we ask that you keep your masks on at all times while indoors, although worship leaders may take off their mask at the mic when distanced from others. People of all ages are welcome to move about the sanctuary as they need to, and coloring sheets are available for children of all ages at either entryway. Our Lifespan religious leader, Rose, is off today, so children are invited to stay in the service. Our child care provider, Shannon,
in the back,
is available to accompany nursery-age children to our nursery room in the parish hall at any time. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that our church was built on the ancestral, unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the devastating legacy of settler colonialism and the continuing harm done to Indigenous peoples in our community and beyond. May our commitment to justice, equity, and compassion call us to take meaningful restorative action to honor and protect the land and all her people. We invite you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill in the contact card you'll find in your pews within the bright yellow pamphlet. I'd like to offer a moment for those joining us remotely to greet those joining us in person. So AV folks, please put the sanctuary screen on gallery view so we can see our off-site congregation.
And let's have a wave. Go ahead.
Folks joining us on Zoom, we can see you in the sanctuary now, so give us a wave if you'd like. And folks in the sanctuary, the camera is actually behind you, just below the clock. Folks in the sanctuary, let's give a big wave and hello to the folks joining us remotely. Wonderful. It's good to be together. We hope that each of you finds some comfort to carry with you over the week and some challenge for your thoughts. As always, we wish for each of you health, well-being, and a sense of peace. As our pianist Yukiko Takagi brings us into worship with, I apologize for my horrible French, Assez lent from the Valse Noble et Sentimentale by Maurice Ravel, we bid you welcome.
Thank you, Yukiko. And apologies to those who are looking for our assistive listening devices. We're working on fixing something that seemed to be oh, we have them. We're looking for them. Do you know where they are? Thank you. Joel's on it. Thank you. Apologies. We were troubleshooting before the service, and somehow they ended up elsewhere. Happy Thanksgiving week to you all. I hope those of you who put in many hours of hard work preparing our winter fair yesterday have gotten a little rest. I share these opening words from Laura Horton Ludwig. The wheel of the year has turned again. Once more, the Thanksgiving season has arrived. How shall we sing our song of gratitude now? For what shall we give thanks? For this moment. Joel, can you pass them that way? Okay. Can you bring them that way, please? Thank you. I give thanks for those in this congregation who support each other, for this moment, for friends near and far, for our breath, for love, for courage and clarity, for strength, for delight, for laughter, for beauty, for the tables round which we gather, for the food we enjoy with friends, seasoned with love and memory, for the sun and the moon and the stars in the sky, for the trees which have seen so much and still stand proud, stretching themselves to the sky, for the bright voices of children, for the wisdom of elders, for actions that bless the world, for hard work that makes a difference, for music and art and celebration, for generosity, for compassion, for endurance, for joy, for hope. For all of these things, we give thanks as we worship together. We begin our worship with one of our more traditional Thanksgiving hymns, We Gather Together, which is in your gray hymnal as number 349 if you want the sheet music. It includes a melody from a 16th century Dutch folk song. You might be familiar with a version of it that begins, We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing, which I learned from a West Wing episode. We'll be singing a different version with rewritten lyrics by two Unitarian Universalists, Dorothy Kager-Sengas and Robert Sengas. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, and raise our voices as we sing, We Gather Together.
We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, acclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now in our sadness. We sing a hymn of praise to the life that we bear. We gather together to join in the journey, confirming, committing our passage to be a true affirmation in joy and tribulation, when bound to human care and hope, then we are free.
You may be seated. Each week, we kindle our flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with shared words of covenant, of shared promise. I invite up Miriam Hernandez, who will lead us in the English reading, and Karen Kirchhoff, who will lead us in its Spanish translation, which we say in honor of our sister community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. The words will be up on a slide. We invite you to say them with us.
Love is the spirit of this church. It is prayer. This is our great to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Thank you. And as we mentioned in our introduction, Rose Gologli, our lifespan religious educator, is taking a well-earned Sunday off, so I get to share the story for all ages. I love that. As we came upon the holiday of Thanksgiving this week, Rose and I wanted to share a story that helped us learn more about the holiday's history, what really happened at the first Thanksgiving, which might be a different story than what we were taught when we were growing up. We found this beautiful story written by 3 Native American authors: Danielle Greendeer, who's Mashpee Wampanoag, Anthony Perry, who is Chickasaw, and Alexis Bunton, who is Yupik and Unangan. And here's how they introduce the story. This is a tale of the harvest feast shared by the newcomers and the Wampanoag people in 1621. The newcomers arrived in what is now Plymouth, Mass, and colonized the ancestral homeland of the Wampanoag tribes. At the time of the first Thanksgiving, many tribes lived in the same area. They're often known as Indians or Native Americans. This story calls them First Peoples because they were the first to live on this land. The Wampanoag people have taken care of this land and tended their gardens for at least 12,000 years. The Wampanoag people hunt, fish, and raise the 3 sisters: corn, beans, and squash. Over time, First Peoples developed deep knowledge about the ways that many plants, often called medicine, help bodies and minds stay healthy. And we'll see that this story incorporates some words in the language spoken by the Wampanoag called Wampanoag. I think we'll be able to learn them through the story, but the first ones to learn are right there in the title, which is called Kipanamunk, which is the name of the time of the harvest, Kipanamunk. Wiachamun's Thanksgiving story, and Wiachamun is the Wampanoag word for corn. So let me share this story. Here we go. Kipanamuk, Wiachamun's Thanksgiving story. I love your garden this time of year, said Maple. Me too. What shall we pick for lunch? Nukumos asked. How about crab apples? Maple suggested. No, chokeberries, Quill shouted. Those are both good medicine, Nukumos said. How about some Wiachamun as well? Yes, Maple replied. She is such a good big sister to beans and squash. The 3 sisters, they grow together, Quill added. You're right. They feed people all over Turtle Island, Nukumos said, and they have many stories to tell. Can you tell us a story? Quill asked. How about the time Wiachamun asked our Wampanoag ancestors to help the pilgrims? Nukumos replied. The first Thanksgiving? Maple asked. Some people call it that, Nukumos said. We call it Kiponamuk, the time of the harvest. Here's what really happened. One frosty fall morning, a long time ago, a large boat with white sails approached the shore. Seagulls circled the boat, squawking, "New people are coming! New people are coming!" Hearing the news, Wiachamun stretched her weary ears toward the sky. Who are those new people? She asked. 2 winters had passed since many of the first peoples who cared for Wiachamun passed on to the spirit world. Those who were not taken by sickness found new homes to ease their heavy hearts and rebuild their lives. Weachamun feared this winter would be her last and called upon Fox for help. Fox looked up at Weachamun. "Should we trust these newcomers?" he asked. "Stay close and watch what they do," Weachamun told Fox. Fall turned to winter. Weachamun and other plants fell asleep. Fox watched the newcomers come ashore. He watched as they made their way into the forest. He watched them enter and abandon Wetu. He watched them take a cooking pot and a basket of Weachamun's seeds. "Don't take us away," the seeds cried. "We are waiting for the first peoples to come back in the spring to prepare our beds. We must grow first." But the newcomers could not hear the seeds. Their ears did not know the voice of the land. Fox watched the newcomers build homes on top of an empty village. He watched as they searched for food, but they could never find enough to eat. Many of the newcomers lost mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters during the long, cold winter. The first people watched as well. News traveled fast among nearby tribes that newcomers had arrived. Nobody was sure what to make of them. For many years, others had traveled across the sea to hunt, fish, and trade. Some were friendly, some were not. These new people seemed different. They were here to stay. Winter turned into spring. The sun warmed the earth. The newcomers continued their search for food. Weachamun awoke from her long slumber and thanked the Creator for another season. She and her sisters, Beans and Squash, pushed through the ground and reached toward the sky. Fox returned to share what he had seen. "The newcomers are hungry," Fox told the three sisters. "They took Weachamun's seeds, but they don't know how to help them grow." Other animals had come to hear what Fox had to say. "We should help," Weachamun said. "I agree," Beans said. "Our home is their home now." "I think we should too," said Squash. "People help us grow." "We must help," Deer said. "We agreed to feed the people. In return, they care for the home that we share." "I wouldn't," said Fox. "The newcomers don't know our world." "Sometimes new people can seem scary," Rabbit said. "The Creator tells us to help all living things. This is how the world works." "Yes," Duck and Turkey agreed. "It's settled," said Weachamun. "We will send the first peoples to help the newcomers." Over the next few nights, Weachamun sent dreams to the first peoples with a message. "Bring me and my sisters to the newcomers. They are hungry and need help." The first peoples listened. Their leader, Osomequin, visited the newcomers. He could see that they wanted peace. Osomequin introduced the newcomers to Tisquantum. Spring turned into summer. Tisquantum showed the newcomers how to raise Weachamun and her sisters, Beans and Squash. He taught the newcomers how to feed fish and seaweed to Weachamun to help her grow. Soon, Weachamun's seeds pushed through the earth and climbed toward the sky. Beans wrapped around Weachamun's strong stalks. Squash stretched her vines across the ground, keeping Weachamun's bed cool and moist. Summer turned to fall. Weachamun brimmed with food. So did Beans and Squash. Weachamun smiled as the newcomers thanked Tisquantum and the first peoples for their help. Kipunamuk, the time of the harvest, had come. The newcomers prepared a feast to celebrate the first year in their new home. They fired muskets in celebration. Boom, boom, boom. Osomequin warriors and other First Peoples arrived. They feasted for 3 days. That meal changed both our lives and theirs forever. Many Americans call it a day of Thanksgiving. Many of our people call it a day of mourning. That's different from what we learned in school, said Maple. It was Weachamun and the other beings of the land, sea, and sky who made the newcomers' first harvest possible? That's right, Nukumos said. This is why we pray before we eat. Well, what did the newcomers and our ancestors eat, Nukumos? Quill asked. Many things. Succotash, duck, turkey, rabbit, deer, lobster, fish, pumpkins, cranberries, boiled bread, and nasamp, Nukumos said. All this talk about food is making me hungry, Maple said. Let's go and make some lunch then, Nukumos laughed, and we'll enjoy every bite, said Quill. The end. So I hope those who are gathering around tables this year in honor of Thanksgiving, those going to Plymouth to honor the National Day of Mourning, or however it is you're honoring or remembering Thanksgiving week this year, hold these stories close to our hearts. And with that, I invite us to sing our centering hymn, number 1009 in your teal hymnals, Meditation on Breathing. It was written by Sarah Dan Jones, a Southern musician living in very cold northern New Hampshire. It was written in response to September 11th, when she was so filled with despair and needed to channel that into some hope. As we sing, you're invited to see if you can find a place of calm, both by inviting it in with your breath and by sending it out into the world. If you've sung it before, you know it has 3 parts, a chant, a melody, and a descant, and you can sing whatever you'd like. I invite you to rise in body, in spirit, and in voice as we sing together.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Be seated. I invite you to join me in a time of meditation or prayer, first in words, then in about a minute or so of silence, then in melody. Our words of meditation today are from Naomi King. Every day we experience hunger and yearning for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed and the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for stars to light the velvet night. Every day, we are invited anew to be thankful for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed and for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for stars to light the velvet night. Our hearts beating in liberated flight, we soar in gratitude for all of the gifts we have in this day, in this lifetime of being, and turn again to share this bounty with all that is. Amen, and blessed be. We share now in this time of quiet.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. As the Theodore Parker singers share our music director's arrangement of the hymn, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," an offering to sustain this congregation of memory and hope will be gratefully received. Thank you. The reading comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 32, 24 through 32. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled. Then the man said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And the man said, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then the man said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But the man said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And then he blessed him. Jacob called out, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved." The sun rose upon him as he passed, limping because of his hip. Here ends the reading.
Gosh, I want Robin to read me all sorts of Bible stories. You do such a great job. Thank you. How does Thanksgiving feel for you this year in our, third holiday season in pandemic times? Some of us may now have plans that look pretty similar to pre-pandemic times, but many of us may still be feasting on the unusual flavors of pandemic holidays. Perhaps you're serving some zesty Zoom fatigue, extra crispy isolation, ultra-pasteurized uncertainty, and my favorite dessert, adequate pie with whipped hope topping. It's a complex potluck of emotions. Even without pandemics, holidays can bring up all sorts of stuff. Family tensions, difficult decisions, feelings of isolation, or renewed grief. Whenever we're facing those challenging feelings, or any challenging feelings really, how do we make the best of it? How do we orient ourselves toward gratitude without glossing over all that's hard? So let's go back to that reading from Genesis chapter 32. Jacob was left alone, and a mysterious stranger, an angel, an enemy, wrestles with him until the break of day. When the stranger could not get the best of Jacob, he touched the hollow of Jacob's wounded, out-of-joint thigh and said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." And Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Rachel Naomi Remen, a pioneer in the field of mind-body healing, has lived with Crohn's disease for many decades. When she was a small child, her grandfather, who was an Orthodox rabbi, told her that same story about Jacob. "I was very puzzled by this story," Remen wrote. "How could it be that one might confuse an angel with an enemy?" But grandfather said this was the sort of thing that happened all the time. "Even so," he told me, "that is not the most important part of the story. The most important part is that everything has its blessing." In the year before he died, Dr. Remen's grandfather told her this story about Jacob several times. 8 or 9 years afterwards, in the middle of the night, Dr. Remen's Crohn's disease declared itself for the first time in a highly dramatic way. She had a massive internal hemorrhage. There was just no warning at all. She was even in a coma and was hospitalized for months. The darkness and the struggle lasted for many years afterwards. Looking back on it, Remen wrote, "I've wondered if my grandfather, old and close to the time of his death, had not left me this story as a compass. It's a puzzling story, a story about the nature of blessings and the nature of enemies. How tempting to let the enemy go and flee, to put the struggle behind you as quickly as possible and get on with your life. Life might be easier then, but far less genuine. Remen concluded, perhaps the wisdom lies in engaging the life that you have been given as fully and courageously as possible, and not letting go until you find the unknown blessing that is in everything. How tempting it is to let the enemy go and flee, to put the struggle behind us as quickly as possible. We could not have a genuine service about gratitude this Thanksgiving if we did not also acknowledge the struggles and losses, those in our lives, in our history, in our country, and around our planet. We name them, we grieve them, we do whatever is in our power to reduce the harm and to help to heal. But perhaps gratitude can look like engaging the life we have been given and being willing to look for the unknown blessing that is in everything. One of my teachers, Dr. Maria Nemeth, puts it this way. Gratitude means that you note and acknowledge whatever is put before you. Not necessarily that you jump for joy at everything that occurs in your life, but that you're willing to let it be there, doing nothing to postpone whatever lesson or opportunity comes from fortune or misfortune. Practicing gratitude looks like noticing and welcoming the lessons and opportunities in everyday life. Practicing gratitude is appreciating that which brings you pleasure, a sunset, a soothing cup of tea, a call with a friend. Practicing gratitude is choosing to be a contribution to your community, the act of generously giving to others without expectation of something in return. When we practice gratitude in these ways, even just pausing to reflect on some of the blessings hidden within hard times, our brains are just happier. Gratitude helps relieve stress and pain, helps us sleep better, and improves our health over time. Even just seeking out things to be grateful for increases serotonin production, just by trying. Facebook has this feature of memories. It shows you the things you posted in previous years, and I saw something I had posted our first holiday season of the pandemic, and I've been reflecting on it. I asked my friends, what are the blessings in disguise that you've found during this time? Without downplaying what's hard and truly awful, what has been surprising good? I want to share with you a few of the responses that I got from friends and colleagues, which still resonate with me. It's interesting that some of them seem very rooted in that, 6 months into the pandemic time, and some of them just feel timeless. And each of us has our own unique experience of these years. A situation that holds blessing for one person may be a place of trouble and stress for another. But some of these might resonate with you too. As they say about cars, your mileage may vary. But here are a few responses and some questions for reflection. Elizabeth said, "My toddler nephew stopped having so many ear infections when he had to stay home during the first lockdown, so he didn't have to get ear tubes put in, and now he can hear better and say, 'I love you.'" Are there hidden blessings for you to find about your health or your well-being? Several people reflected on the ways that working, learning, or attending their spiritual communities from home has given them so much more flexibility in their days. I know I have appreciated attending services at my synagogue without the formidable challenge of parking in its Brookline neighborhood. One of the comments was actually from last week's guest preacher, Karishma, who appreciated that during a 15-minute break from one of her college classes, she was able to take a 13-minute shower and come back to class refreshed. Many parents, even amid the chaos and challenges of schooling and lack of childcare, appreciated actually getting to see their children more. Are there hidden blessings for you to find about connecting to communities in new ways? Justin, Sarah, and several others appreciated how the pandemic time had helped them connect to friends, family, and loved ones more than usual. Making virtual gatherings the norm meant that Justin can attend his godson's birthday party in Virginia, just as it means that our congregants can zoom in to TPC from their vacations in New Hampshire or from their homes in Brazil. Hi, Clydia. Are there hidden blessings for you to find about connecting across distance, maybe also difference? Maggie, who's a PhD student at Harvard who lives with disabilities, appreciated the accessibility benefits of so much Zoom access for her kinds of physical limitations. She had struggled to find a good way to attend things like scientific poster sessions that involved a lot of standing. But conferences being on Zoom allowed her to hear more about research than she would have done otherwise, all from a spot in her apartment where she could take care of her body while learning. Not to mention that the post-seminar socializing happening over Zoom meant not having to try and find the one chair available while everyone else is standing and talking. Are there hidden blessings for you to find about how to take care of yourself? I'd love to hear from you all, whether in the chat on Zoom or in the receiving line or coffee hour after the service. And if you're willing to share, what are the hidden blessings you're looking for right now? When times have been tough in the past, has there been surprising good to come out of it? Beloveds, we are hosts to a holiday potluck of complex emotions. But perhaps the wisdom lies in engaging the life that we have been given as fully and courageously as possible, and not letting go until we find the unknown blessing that is in everything. May you be blessed as you are a blessing to others. Amen. In the spirit of finding blessings in everything, our closing hymn is For the Beauty of the Earth. It's number 21 in your gray hymnals, one of my favorites. Folliot S. Pierpont wrote its lyrics in 1864 when he was just 29 years old, when he was captivated by the beauty of the countryside that surrounded him. The melody in our hymnal was written by Konrad Kocher, who was interested in the reformation of church music in Germany and founded the School of Sacred Music in 1821. So let's join in the song of gratitude as we sing For the Beauty of the Earth. I invite you to rise in body, spirit, or voice as we sing.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over
You may be seated, and thank you, Michael. We share a few announcements and invitations to keep connecting with church life beyond our Sunday mornings. We're doing our best to try and streamline these announcements. We know announcement creep is a thing, so I'll do my best here. First, following our postlude from Yukiko, we'll have both a breakout room for those on Zoom who want to connect, as well as a coffee hour through these doors here in the parish hall, either up a few stairs or a step-free access through the parking lot. At that coffee hour, in addition to the soup, which I'm excited about, is leftover, not just leftover, but like the creme de la creme of the winter fair items. So it's your last chance to come in and peruse, get the things you regret not having purchased yesterday. I have some things in mind, as well as enter your name for raffle items. So thank you to all of you who helped make that possible, and to those of you who are helping to clean up today. At noon today in the parlor, which is the small room attached to the parish hall, we'll be having our second meeting of The Starting Point. This is a gathering for those who are newer to Theodore Parker Church or Unitarian Universalism, or not, and just want to refresh their connection with the church. You're welcome to attend even if you didn't make it to the first one. So that'll be the parlor from 12 to 1:30 with some extra snacks. Finally, an invitation to join in our upcoming Building Your Own Theology course that our Lifespan Religious Educator Rose is going to be offering. It begins on Tuesday evening, November 29th. There are still a few spots left if you'd like to join in. It'll meet every other week, Tuesday nights. You can email Rose or the office at office@tparkerchurch.org to hop in on that. It's going to be a great way to explore your own spirituality and hear from others. Please feel free to ask me any questions or reach out to the church in the week ahead. Our closing words today are from the great poet, Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not often very kind. And much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all of the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Go in peace and be well.